trying to figure out how we're going to navigate over these next few weeks. Yesterday, of course, we heard that announcement. January the 17th is the date that they're giving us at this moment that our kids will go back and that is in school learning. But right now we're going to be online for this first couple of weeks. I personally have a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old at home right now that one is kind of happy, the other one is kind of sad. But overall, as a parent, we're trying to figure out how are we going to prepare our kids, how are we going to navigate. And what we have for you this morning is we actually have some advice. And that advice comes to us from a psychotherapist named Roxanne Francis. Roxanne, good morning to you.
Good morning, Frank. Thank you for having me today.
It's great to have you. You have two children as well. You have two boys as well. As a parent, first off, how are you preparing your kids for online learning?
Well, I do what I tell all of my clients to do. We took a long walk a couple of days ago, actually, and I spoke to my boys individually and asked them what they thought about, we thought we were heading back to school. I asked them what they thought about going back to school, and they talked about the pros and cons about, being at home versus being at school, what they would have looked forward to going to school, and what the perks are for being at home. And so when the news came yesterday, we had a chance to sit with them and really just talk about how they were feeling. And they talked about the things that they were going to miss. And they had a moment, right? They had a moment of frustration. They had a moment of sadness. They are mourning and not having, my kids are 10 and almost 7, and they were mourning not having recess with their friends, which is really important to them at that age. And they talked about the interaction of in-person learning. My 10-year-old is a very social child, and he really talked about really disliking the online aspect of it for that reason and not being able to interact in person with his friends, which is really, really important to him. So it's really, really important that we sit and talk with our kids about what's going on.
And we talk to them specifically about their feelings. What are some good questions just to start that conversation off? How would we start that conversation?
Yeah, I would talk about the subject, and really just ask them, how do you feel? They understand that. And if they're smaller than my 10-year-old, I would say, are you having any feelings of happiness or sadness? Name some feelings, because sometimes when they're really little, they don't have those words readily available to them. Ask them about things that they're looking forward to. Ask them about disappointment. Ask them about, if there's anything that's causing them to be upset or worried, because they have the feelings. Sometimes they just don't know how to put them into words. And as a result of that, if they don't have the words, then it comes out in behavior, which is a lot of the reasons why parents call a professional like myself, because they notice a significant change in the children's behavior. And so that is something that you will want to pay attention to.
What are some signs for behavior? So what are some warning things as a parent that I should be watching out for, that maybe I should be concerned where I will need professional help?
Yeah, you know your child best. And so if there are behaviors that are completely out of line with how your child usually behaves, if they are, sleeping all the time when they are usually quite active and up and about and looking forward to connecting with people, if they are very lethargic out of nowhere, if their eating pattern has changed significantly, if they're not sleeping at all. I've seen also a lot of a high surge of eating disorders, so pay attention to some of those things. If your child isn't eating, or suddenly they've decided to only eat fruit and drink water when they're usually a burger and fries kind of child, those are some things that you want to pay attention to. You want to pay attention to increasing worry. If your child is already someone who behaves, with higher anxiety, then you want to pay attention to that anxiety. Is it increasing? I've seen a lot of anxious kids move just from anxiety to more OCD type behavior. And that's more than just liking your room neat and tidy, but things like, touching the tap 50 times before they turn it off, not being able to go to bed because they have to check 4 or 5 times if the front door is locked. Like, these are some serious things that we need to pay attention to. So really, you know your child best as the parent. And if you see that their behavior is completely out of line with how they usually behave, then I would say sit and have a chat with them. And if you are unable to work it out just through some discussions, then you might either want to talk to your doctor or call a profession, someone like myself.
And just quickly, we are out of time at this moment, but just if you could quickly just give some parents advice about how they could cope themselves, because I know that kids mimic the behavior of their parents. What are just
100%.
maybe 2 or 3 things that parents can do?
Yes, we know that you want to stay abreast of what's going on in the news, but you can't have it on 24/7. That pushes the anxiety level. Take care of your body physically. Get outside if you can, go for a walk, eat healthy foods, try to get some sleep, because those things definitely push the anxiety factor. And if I could offer one tip, I know we probably don't have the number on the screen right now, but when you're done here, Google the number for Kids Help Phone and keep it on the fridge. If your child is unable to talk specifically with you, then at least they have a number that they can call if they're feeling out of sorts.
Roxanne Francis, thank you so much. You know, this is a big topic. We could spend a lot of time on this, and we probably should, but unfortunately on a morning show like this, we only have such limited time. But for more information, you can go to francispsychotherapy.com. Francis, Roxanne, that is, health and happiness to you. Thank you for all the work that you're doing, and stay safe.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.